I only trust my tarot cards. Pink flamingos in my yard. People think that I'm from Mars. Whatever. Only smoke that holy green. High above the big machine. Not attached to anything. Whatever. I got that magic you call ADE. Rap for them aliens different like me. Namaste right here, right here, right here. At the center of a crowded room.
One of my favorite songs by Adam Lambert.
Searching for that one.
It's the anthem of all. Two fucks. F-U-K, no, F-U-Q-S. So I could say that on this station.
F-U-X.
F-U-X?
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not that word. Right?
We rhymed it with sex.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We rhymed it with a lot of things. You're listening to One-on-One on Entertainment Weekly Radio. I'm Larry Flick. And my dear old sister is back in the room. Madam Adam Lambert. That's how we're going to introduce you.
My friends do call me Madam from time to time.
Do they?
Especially when I'm acting up, yeah. Like, listen, Madam. Or Mary. And then Mary Lambert came out in the scene, and I went, well, this is now getting a little weird.
Now it's getting a little creepy, right? So we were just talking before turning the mics on about how we're both, last time we saw each other, we were still at the kids' table, but now we both feel like old queens at the grown-up table.
Exactly.
How are you, my love?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm so happy to see you. Adam Lambert is here to talk about a number of things, but top of the list is the just announced limited engagement at the Park Theater at the Park MGM in Las Vegas for 10 nights. September 1st through the 22nd, and it's going on sale. The tickets are going on sale Friday.
Yeah.
This is huge.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really cool. We're so used to going to like one city, playing a show, maybe two, and then moving to the next city, being on tour. So this is the first time we've actually sat down for more than a couple shows. So
are you excited about that, or does that make you nervous?
No, it's just, it'll be something different, a different energy for us. And also, we've been playing arenas that are a certain size. This space is a wonderful space, but it's a bit smaller. I think it's about 4,000 to 5,000 people as opposed to like 18. So it'll just be like a little bit more intimate. We're retooling the set design and the lighting design and everything for that space, and probably reapproaching our set list and some of the ways we do things. I'm very excited.
So this is really funny, because how many years have you been doing this project?
Since 2012, we've been working together.
It's been 6 years.
Yeah.
So does this feel like your band?
Well, in some ways, it feels like family. We're very comfortable with each other. I feel like we have no filter with each other now, which is great. I think in the beginning I might have been more intimidated by the whole prospect of it, so I was probably a bit more on eggshells with them. And when we were on stage together, it does feel like a one unit. We feel like we're in it together. But, I didn't write any of the music. I didn't record any of the music. It's a live experience. So in some ways, yes, some ways, no.
At what point does the intensity of what you're doing start to feel normal?
That's a good question. You do take it for granted at moments, and then I have to stop and remind myself. And one of the things that always reminds me is you look at the audience and they're like flipping out. They're so excited. They know every song backwards and forwards. But it can become a routine. And I always try to remind myself, you know what? Most of these people here, it's their first time seeing this, at least on this tour. You know what I mean? And so you have to remind yourself of that. I think that's theater training. I think that's, coming from that world, you have to make it fresh every night. But
what's really, there have been a lot of bands that have tried to keep the spirit alive. But this is actually one that's really working. It's working in that it has its own beating heart that seems separate from what the band once was. And to me, it's a tribute to the chemistry that you have with the guys. And I'm trying to climb inside your head and know what it feels like to
be careful at your own risk.
Well, yes, baby.
It's busy in here.
But to stand on that stage and to be both the keeper of a world of memories, but also keep yourself alive. Because the great thing, pun intended, baby.
You better drop that title in there.
I worked that. How about that?
You really.
And that was a deep cut for all y'all.
That was well done, and that was
Thank
on the fly.
Lurry.
You did not have notes on that one.
No, baby. You should know better than that.
The wit is alive.
But no, seriously, because I've seen you with this band, and it's very much you. It's Adam Lambert.
I'm very thankful. I mean, I'm thankful that I sang Bohemian Rhapsody for my American Idol audition, because I don't know if I'd be doing this if it hadn't been for that moment, that decision. And I also, one of the things that keeps me going and keeps me really invested in it, not only are all the themes of all the music really timeless and perfect and songs that reach everybody, but also the idea that I get to help try to carry on this legacy that Freddie built with the band. And I feel like Freddie Mercury was so ahead of his time in many ways. In learning more about him over the years, I think he was, once he came to terms with his sexuality, from what I understand, he was very comfortable with it and nonchalant about it and didn't care, said anything to anybody, was very matter of fact about it. I mean, even the press, he would kind of make sarcastic comments about it when he was asked about his sexuality. They said, are you gay? And he said, oh yes, as a daffodil, darling. And he would just kind of brush it off and he never denied it. He always kind of, managed to make a joke and deflect at a time where it was a very taboo thing. And I have a lot of respect for that. I like the way he handled himself.
Talking to Adam Lambert here on EW Radio. And as I mentioned earlier, Queen and Adam Lambert will be doing a very exciting 10-date stand, kind of a mini residency at the Park Theater at the Park MGM in Las Vegas, September 1st through the 22nd. The tickets go on sale Friday. You don't want to sleep on this one because the tickets are going to go quickly. It's so interesting, though, to think about the through line from Freddie to you, and from you to now, because I remember when you and I first met.
Yeah.
After Idol.
Yeah.
And it was still a big deal.
I've been talking about this lately. I just did the GLAAD Media Awards.
Yeah, I know.
Which were so enlightening and wonderful and amazing people in the room. And one of the things that I started realizing was just how far we've come in the last 10 years in the music industry in terms of people being open and matter of fact about who they are and what their identity is. It was a totally different world 10 years ago.
It was a big deal.
I guess it was 9. It wasn't 10. It was 9 years ago.
9 years ago, but it was a big deal to have Adam Lambert declare his sexuality. It's the cover of Rolling Stone.
And it was so weird to me, too, because in that moment, I had been out since I was 18. Living in L.A., like, very loudly out. I didn't really have a lot of baggage to deal with when it came to my sexuality because I grew up in the theater. My parents were super liberal. I didn't really encounter all that much, hate or bullying, a little bit here and there as a teenager, but who doesn't? So I actually had like a pretty good, healthy kind of experience as a gay man in LA. And all of a sudden with the show taking off, when we were on the show, you don't do press. You don't have this is before Twitter, if you can imagine that. We didn't have any direct access to anything in the PR world until after the show was done or after your run on the show was done. And so while I was on the show, I'm seeing like magazine covers going like, is he or isn't he? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, like, no one's asked me do I need to wear a rainbow flag on the show? And I didn't think about it at the time because I was trying to just get through every week and sing my songs. And I realize it now, like, I didn't declare it publicly, but in the moment at that time, I was like, well, I didn't realize I had to, because to me, I was already out. I was out to everybody on the show. I was, making comments about, oh, he's cute, and is he single? So it was so natural for me to just be that I didn't realize at the time what it was like to be a celebrity and to be gay, and what certain responsibilities come with it. I was just learning for the first time.
So you're at the GLAAD Awards this weekend. You sang a song with Melissa Etheridge. It was a great moment. And as I was watching it, I kept thinking, when I met Adam, he was a kid, and he was a kid, kind of like a minnow in the ocean of gayness.
A minnow,
right? And now, to a bunch of kids watching this, he's one of the forefathers.
I'm a walrus,
or at least a sea lion.
Oh, I'll take that. Okay, sea lion. Yeah, that's much foxier. Yeah.
They go.
Well, and that's one of the...
I mean, what is that like? What is it like to, because I've been thinking a lot about, I'm kind of a post-Stonewall gay, right? So I'm kind of like, I'm like 54, almost 55 now, looking around at the kids thinking, wow, what is it like for you, having lived your entire celebrity out?
Yeah, I mean, that's it's been an interesting journey because, like I said, in 10 years, not only in the music industry, but in the world, there's been a lot of progress made.
But do you know that some of the progress is because you came out?
Well, I've considered myself a part of a movement. I don't know if I led anything, but I'd like to think that just by being upfront and matter of fact about it, hopefully that set an example. And looking at the music industry, when all of this started, I don't know if I really encountered full homophobia within the industry. I mean, I think everybody that was involved in my project was rooting for me and wanted me to do well, but everyone was a little nervous. And people didn't really know how to market an out gay pop singer.
Especially one who was occasionally pretty androgynous.
Like I was known to, beat the face to the ground, wear a boot, with a heel and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, it was, I felt like I was paying homage to all my like rock and roll heroes. But at that time when that was going on, because I was coming out, because it was such a novelty in the mainstream, I think people they were like, oh, he's doing this because he's gay. And like the fact that was so sort of misunderstood made me laugh, because I always thought to myself, well, I go to gay bars, I don't see anybody dressing like this. Like,
no,
these guys want to look really, really masculine if they can. So yeah, I always thought that was very funny, because it didn't really have anything to do with my sexuality. And now the conversation has shifted. Now we're in this beautiful moment of gender fluidity and sort of like, rejecting labels and rejecting pronouns, and like it's such a movement, and it's so exciting, and it's such a world of possibility that's opening up for young people coming up right now.
So does that make you optimistic about your next record?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't have anything that I have to avoid. Not that I have really in the past, but I think there was moments over the past 10 years where I thought to myself, well, I should play the game. And, I want to have a long, successful career, and I want to be able to reach lots of people, so I got to play the game.
So what was the game in your mind?
Well, in moments you think to yourself, well, I need to adjust what I'm creating to fit into this idea of what the gatekeepers of the game think I should be doing. Sort of like a strategy. And I think more than ever, I've rejected that idea. And when I'm approaching this current album, I've kind of been like, screw all that. Let me just do what I want to do because I like it. And make sure that it's authentic, both sonically and thematically and lyrically, and make sure it's honest, and that should serve me the best.
So what are you writing about these days?
Oh God, everything. I mean, I've written songs about a lot of stuff about relationship and sort of that meaning of what love is, or what the need for love is in your life, or there's definitely some empowerment messages in there, about being who you are, about not making apologies, having your own power and your own strength. And if you feel like you're in a moment where you've been robbed of that power, about how to take that power back, encouraging people to take that power back. There's some, good old, fun, trashy 70s style, let's go downtown, have a drink kind of songs. Yeah, I don't know. I think in many ways what's interesting is that like a lot of the stuff that's going on right now politically and socially sort of echoes what was going on in the late 60s into the 70s. Sort of like the youth movement right now, there's so much of a renaissance of, like we said, gender and sexuality and nonconformity and kind of sticking it to the man and all that.
Very 70s.
It is very 70s. And this album has a lot of 70s influence on it, probably more than any of the ones I've done. So I'm just really excited to kind of get into this chapter and explore it.
It's Adam Lambert joining us on EW Radio. I'm Larry Flick. To remind you, the Queen Adam Lambert engagement for 10 nights is going to begin September 1st at Park Theater at Park MGM in Las Vegas. Tickets going on sale on Friday.
Sea lion to chicken. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's a barnyard fiesta.
This is what they call live radio, America.
Live radio.
Learn it.
Old MacDonald.
What do you know about yourself that you didn't know before taking on this Queen project?
Ooh, what did I know? I don't know. That's a good question. That's very I would have to journal for a month, I think, to really get to the real heart of that. I don't know. I think
because I
don't know.
Let me jump in because
maybe you tell me.
Well, no. I mean, I don't have the answer, but I can tell that something's shifted because I remember seeing you with the band when you first started, and I've seen you, recently-esque, and there's a big difference, and it's not just comfort. It's not just comfort. There's something. It feels less like a ghost is visiting upon you, and more like you're in control of the ghost.
I think I've become more confident as a result of working with Queen. It's given me a sense of purpose and a sense of validation that I think as a performer, everybody that's a performer needs that, and I feel like it's kind of supported my approach to the material. Like I feel more grounded in it.
How did you get over those early periods? See, I'm just going to assume it's true. The early period where you're like, what have I signed myself up on for? Get me out of here.
Well, I remember, when they first, reached out and expressed an interest and we did this thing for the VMAs over in Europe, I was very excited. I was totally intimidated, but I was like, well, I'm not going to say no. And we got together for a couple days, rehearsed. We did this medley on the show, on this award show. And it was there was a lot of adrenaline. And looking back on it now, it was not like the strongest vocal performance of my life, but I had a lot of fun. And I made the mistake of going online afterwards. And this was the first time we had tried this. There was a lot, especially in the UK, there was a lot of mixed opinions online. And, this was back when I used to really read up on what people thought of me, which I've shed a lot of these days.
God.
That's one thing you just have to stop doing, I think, if you're a sensitive person. So it was a lot to take on. There was a lot of compliments, but there was an awful lot of criticism as well, and comparisons of our voices and this and that. And, even though it was a little hard to read, I learned a lot from it. And after I got over my hurt feelings, I tried to apply it to further work with them because they kept asking to work. And I kept saying yes, because it's Queen. And I learned. I think I worked on making it better.
So, what have you taken from this experience into your writing?
Well, I think that Queen are amazing at. And they all wrote songs individually and together. They're amazing at writing timeless music that thematically doesn't age. It's like their concepts are universal and timeless, and and getting to perform these songs for audiences all around the world, you start to realize why it connects and what connects. Always coming from the heart is really big. Sort of they had a way of being triumphant without being arrogant, and strong and confident without being overbearing. Like there was this lovely balance that the band had with their music, and I've learned a lot about what seems to connect because of that, and I think I've applied it.
So when do you how long does it take to shed that energy and glide into your own self?
Well, I think in the past, I think I kept my solo projects and the Queen stuff much more separate, just sonically and sort of like energy wise. It was just felt like two different things, and that was working for me at the time. That's what I wanted to do. But I think right now I'm just realizing that compartmentalizing that doesn't make a lot of sense, because it's not compartmentalized. It's me in both things. So I think they're closer together now creatively than they've ever been. And I really like that.
I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense because, again, you're keeping the spirit of the band alive, but it's a different band. I mean,
yeah.
Does it feel like a different? I mean, you can't know what it was like for the band with Freddie, but you do know, you have certainly felt the shift, haven't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Naturally, I think it's going to be different. But again, like I said, I really love the fact that I look at who Freddie was and sort of what he was about, and in thinking that he was ahead of his time, like I wonder what Freddie would be like today. If he hadn't had contracted AIDS, which I think, like so many other people, caught him completely off guard. People didn't know what it was that they were up against, until it was too late. And so if that hadn't happened and he was with us today, I wonder how he would relate to the world. I wonder how he would identify, and something tells me that he would be very no BS about it and sort of matter of fact, well into the 90s, into the early 2000s, and today. I think he would be quite a trailblazer in that arena. I think he set himself up to be, but was taken away too soon. So,
how do you handle the responsibility of being who you are?
Well, I mean, I think that was the thing that I had to get my head around early on. That was the thing I didn't quite understand. Identifying the way I identify and sort of being sort of a little left of center. In a entertainment medium where it's sort of like about being popular, they're a little bit like they're at odds with each other, those two ideas. So I think it took me a while to figure out like that it's greater than just me, like some of the stuff that I'm singing about or some of the stuff that I'm representing, and that whether I chose to or not, that I had a responsibility to people, to fans, to the world, to get the right message across.
Is this all still fun?
It's totally still. I know we're getting really serious.
I know we're talking about but it's important stuff. But I mean, but at the same time, I just think, okay, is this fun?
It has to be fun, or else it's not fun. That's really deep. I think that's part of what music is, especially when you're trying to inspire people to feel free and to let go and to be brave. It does have to be fun. It has to have that air about it, or else it doesn't connect.
I have so many fond memories of times with you. We've had a lot of really good chats.
Yes, we have.
And they're all kind of colliding in my brain right now. And all I keep thinking is, wow, he looks younger than ever.
Really?
Yes, he does.
It could be the extra 10 pounds from the holidays that are still hanging on there.
You look
Love
good.
that baby fat.
Yum, 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 yum.
Old McDonald.
Listen.
You two together, I can't.
But actually, it reminds me of like the pivotal moment. See, Adam doesn't realize, I have to let you go, but Adam helped me break really important ground at this radio company. And I'm
really?
Yes, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to remind you of it and tell everybody else about this, and then we're going to let you go. We got together. We've been together many times to talk. We got together the night before Thanksgiving, the day after he sang at the American Music Awards and kissed the guy on stage.
Oh, that was the next day. That's right. I did fly here late that
And
yeah.
it was a late night conversation that we had, and this was a big deal that I had scored an interview with Adam Lambert for my station, which was the gay station, at a time when the entire world wanted to talk to the guy who kissed the guy on the American Music Awards.
Wow.
And they were trying to coach me on what to talk to him about. And I don't take coaching well.
Right. And you don't need it.
It's one of the things that Adam and I have in common.
Yes, I didn't listen to it either. That's why I got in trouble for it.
And we sat there, and I said, I'm not going to ask him about that. I looked at Adam, and I said, so how fat were you? Do you remember that?
Vaguely, but...
And you said, I was 240 pounds.
Yeah, I was big boy back in the day.
And that what got picked up all around the world.
Wow.
It wasn't, why did he kiss the guy in the American Music Awards? It
How
was,
fat were you?
Adam Lambert was once fat.
Wow.
And after that, no one questioned me on an interview question ever again.
That's what did it. I
That's
love
what
it.
did it.
I love it.
So thank you, my darling.
Well, thank you that we got the conversation off of that infamous kiss.
With that, we thank Adam Lambert. Remind you that Adam Lambert and Queen are going to be at the Park Theater at Park MGM in Las Vegas, September 1st through the 22nd. 10 dates. The tickets, go on sale on Friday. Get them now. I'll see you soon, my darling.
And I just wanted to let everybody know out there that I've been seeing comments on my social media feed. The fans are itching for this solo stuff as well, and I want everyone to know that I am working on it very, very hard.
Well, he's just been talking about it in writing.
But that they're like, but this means, all these Queen dates means we have to wait. I'm like, no, it's not. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
I want them to realize that there's a lot of logistics. It's very layered, and that I am working on the album, and you will hear something before the end of the year. I promise.
And he will be back to talk about it. I just took it upon myself.
Of course.
Stick around. There's more to come on EW Radio.
Is a ghost town. My heart is a ghost town. My heart is a ghost town. My heart is a ghost town. Died last night in a